Hello, my name is Adia Shani. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining. And if not, welcome back. So today my video is going to be on something that I'm very excited about because, well, okay, let me tell you about it. So this is going to be a tag video. 3 fragrances for 3 different memories. And when I was tagged in this video, I was just like, oh my gosh. Okay, because I am so new to this and it was so good to be recognized in the fragrance community. I was tagged by my fragrance buddy, Yummy411 Kia. Thank you for tagging me. And I just love the way that we all support each other in the YouTube community. And so I was just so excited, you know, to be recognized. I'm very new at this, so for her to do that and recognize me and tag me, I just really appreciate it. So I'm gonna tell you about 3 fragrances and 3 memories, and you'll get to know more about me. That's why I really like this tag, is because it lets you know more about that YouTube influencer that you are following. So if that is something that you are interested in, please stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back to my channel. Again, I am Adia Shani, and if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and definitely subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in and talk about these 3 fragrances for 3 different memories. What I decided to do is kind of like do certain periods in my life. I'm gonna talk about a fragrance that reminds me of my childhood, kind of like my adulthood, or going into adulthood, my college life, and then I'm going to talk about my real adulthood life. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, so this first fragrance here is something very new to my collection. I recently got this and I wore it because my initial impressions about it, I was just like, I don't know. So I wore it the next day and I'm like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of something. And I kept smelling it and I kept smelling it. And I'm like, this reminds me of my childhood. It is very grassy and green and vegetable-like and kind of like wildflower-like. And I'm just like, okay, this reminds me of my childhood. It is Hermes Un Jordan Sur Les Toits. All right, and this fragrance here is very earthy. And then it dries down to something so beautiful to me. It's very green. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint a picture for you and tell you about my childhood. So my parents have 11 acres of land. And on that land, they had 3 gardens. They had tomatoes, peppers, beans, peas, corn, okra, potatoes, watermelons, cantaloupe, blackberries, what else? Did I say okra, corn, sweet potatoes. I mean, my dad tried to grow everything. He grew everything. Some things, like say for instance, our watermelons, I remember those not being sweet at all. We would go pick them early because they would start, you could tell when they were not gonna grow any larger, and then the animals or insects or whatever were trying to get to them, so we would pick them. So our watermelons, they never did right. But anyway, we had an orchard which had fig trees, apple trees, peaches, oranges, what else did we try? Plums. That's all I remember. But we had what I consider is a farm. We had a goat, we had a sheep, we had horses, we had cows, chickens, we had ducks, we had geese, we had turkeys, we had 2 dogs, and then later on we ended up getting some cats, because living out in the country, you need cats and you need dogs, okay? You need all of it to keep the wild animals away, right? So I just remember, especially during the summer times when we were out of school, we would help my parents cut the lawn. So with 11 acres, my dad had a tractor and he would cut the bigger areas of the lawn, and then we all, me, 2 of my sisters, and my oldest brother, we would all get the push mowers and we would mow around the trees, the flower beds, and around the house. And it is nothing like a summer day in the evening time when it is cooling off and you get that breeze to come across the orchard, you get the breeze to come across the vegetable garden and across those wildflowers and blueberry bushes and honeysuckles, because those grew out in the woods and forests and area around the house. And you get that fresh cut grass smell, and it is beautiful. It is so fresh and wonderful and clean. It's when I say clean, it is like a clean, fresh breath of air mixed with fresh cut grass. And wildflowers are the smell of fresh vegetables, or the smell, like, it reminds me, the sweetness in this reminds me of carrots. It doesn't have carrots in there, but that's what the sweetness reminds me of. It's not like a fruit sweet or not like a floral sweet. It's like a vegetable sweet. And the green notes, you definitely get that in the dry down. And that is what this reminds me of, my childhood. And I was like, it really like took you back into playing kickball and baseball in the yard, hula hoop, swimming on our swings and things of that nature. We had fun in our kid life. We didn't have anything to care about in the world, and that's what this reminds me of. And it is, I really think this is a wonderful smell. In the beginning, I didn't like it because I thought it was so earthy. When I say earthy, I mean like dirt-like, bark of a tree-like. But the dry down on this thing, it is wonderful. It really, really reminds me of my childhood, and just the freshness of fresh vegetables and fresh grass and fresh wildflowers, and just the breeze off of those trees in the orchard, and you get like a hint of sweetness. But yeah, it's nice. All right, let me move on. So my next fragrance reminds me of my undergrad years, and I went to Southern University, HBCU, and I wore this fragrance. It was my signature scent. And so when I didn't repurchase this, I got this as a gift this past Christmas. And when I got it, I was like, man, I had that fragrance before. I used to wear that out when I was in undergrad. And it is Juicy Couture Viva La Juicy. And this scent reminds me of my fun times in college, and I had wonderful times in college. I really enjoyed my undergrad years at Southern University, going to football games, going to parties, being on campus. Campus was fun, and we used to dress up every day of our lives at Southern University. I'm talking about walking around campus with heels on. We would be dressed to the T. And we had something that was called Pretty Wednesdays, but I think everybody was pretty every day of the week. But it definitely reminds me of my good old days at Southern University. And this was my baby. I wore this thing out each and every day. So when I finally got this, I was like, well, not when I finally got it, but when it was given to me for Christmas, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this fragrance. But yeah, and as you can see, if you can see this, how much I've used of this already. So this was a signature scent for me, and I loved it back then, and I love it now. Oh yeah, and this is a scent that's it's year-round. This is a year-round scent. You can wear this in the winter, spring, and fall. And I love this scent. And last but not least, I have C by Giorgio Armani. And I don't have much of this left. I heard that it was reformulated. I do want to repurchase it because this scent right here reminds me of my wedding day, being that I wore this scent on my wedding day. And I'm just gonna tell you about that day. So, well, first I'm gonna tell you about my plan. So my plan was to have an outside wedding. And the day before we had rehearsal, and it was a beautiful Friday evening, and everything was perfect. And it was outside in the river, Mississippi River. You could see that in the back. You could see the Mississippi River Bridge, and it was just a wonderful scene. It was beautiful. And the next day, it was raining, and it rained basically all day long. So, of course, you know, as the bride, I was in my feelings for a long time, actually. Maybe like, I was in my feelings, and I did not want to get sad to be crying on my wedding day, but I was upset about the weather, because in my mind I had pictured what I was going to look like, what my wedding day was going to look like, how beautiful it was. We got it around whatever time the sun set, so you could really see the sun setting behind the bridge, and it was just going to be beautiful. And man, I tell you, it rained all day long. But after I got my hair done, I got my makeup done, and we went on down to the venue, and I got dressed, and I sprayed on my C by Giorgio Armani, and I just had to think. I could hear my husband in the hallway talking, and I remember my sister leaving out the room. She's like, "You can't be back here." But anyway, to hear him talking, and he was so excited. I don't know. This just because it was my wedding scent, it just makes me smile every time I think about it, and it makes me really think about my wedding day and how the butterflies that I had when it was finally time for me to walk down the aisle. I actually kind of like started having a panic attack. I did. I remember it. And when I finally walked out and I hit that corner and I saw my fiance at the time, my husband, it just really like lit up everything for me. And then the rain did not even bother me. They put out a tent, and all the guests were up under the tent, and it eventually stopped raining, but it got real cold. I got married in October. Usually October we have really, really nice weather here, but for some reason it was just cold. But we partied, we had fun, and it just reminds me of the day that I married the love of my life, my best friend. So Giorgio Armani C. Alright, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and be sure to like, comment, and definitely subscribe before you leave here, and also check out some more of my videos. See you later. Bye.